Abad once again, and I greet anyone watching this tutorial. If you are watching it in the evening, good evening. If you are watching it in the morning, good morning. If it is in the afternoon, good afternoon. Okay, so basically we are coming to go through the concept of web development, and I expect that you cooperate with me, because I believe that at the end you all end up learning something new. And so let's get going. So in your own words, if you are being asked to define web development, how would you put it? That is a question for you to answer to yourself. How would you put it? If it is compulsory by force that you should define web development, how would you put it? Okay, so you answer that question for yourself. So we are going to continue. So the concept of web development. So let's see the concept of web development. Basically we are coming to look at 3 technologies in regards to web development. And so these technologies are, we have the HTML, the CSS, and JavaScript. These are the 3 technologies in web development that I want us to look at. In fact, we can have more than this. It's not we can have more than this. We have more than this. These ones. A lot of technologies. Python is one. PHP can help. Angular can help. You can also use MySQL. A lot of technologies, but I want us to go through this, because these 3 ones are the basic fundamentals of what web development. And so I want us to look at these 3 technologies. Alright, so let's go. Let's get to know what these 3 technologies do. Alright, so I already asked a question, that what is web technology in your own words, and by now you might have defined it to yourself, and we are now coming to look at if you got it right. Okay, so we are simply saying that web development, the responsibilities connected with establishing, managing, and maintaining websites and web applications that operate online on a browser are referred to as web development, sometimes known as website development. Web design, web programming, and database management are all possibilities. So the whole concept of web development we are trying to say here is that the responsibilities connected to establishing, managing, and maintaining websites and web applications is what we term as what? Web development. So you develop a website where we are able to manage it on online basis, and whether it could be a website or a web application. Once you're able to manage it online, you are able to maintain it. We call this what? Web development, with some of the technologies that can be used to develop website. So this is just the basic understanding of what? Web development. So you can sit down and also try to coin the definition to your own understanding, so that you can flow easy when you are being asked what is web development. Alright. So we are simply coming to look at some types of web development. The types of web development. Alright. So we have the front-end web development. The front-end web development is in control of the look and the feel of a website. That is the front, what you see, what the user interact with. We call that what? The front-end development. The colors, the fonts, and all that when you open a website you see is what we call the front-end development. Just the look and the feel of the website. Alright, so let's get to know others. Alright, so we have another one. We say it is back-end web development. Server-side development is another term for back-end development. So that is the whole concept, server-side. Okay, so we said it is everything that users don't see and include all of the behind the scenes operations that takes place when they utilize a website, database, back-end logics, and then APIs. So we are simply talking about what you will not see when you log on into a website. When you log into a website, you will not see. So let's say, for example, you log onto a website and you have to submit your details. You will submit the details, but you don't know where the details will go. So wherever the details is going is the work of what? The back-end development. That is why we are talking about database here. So when you submit your details, it goes to the database. You don't have access to that one. So that is what? The back-end development. And we can also talk about server here. All these ones are what? Back-end web development. Okay. So we are going to talk about the last one I know, and we call it full stack web development. Full stack web development. And from the word full stack technology refers to the entire depth of a computer system application. And full stack developers work in both the front end and the back end of the web development process. Everything a client or site viewer may see and interact with on the front end, with is on the front end. So when you log onto the website, what you see and interact with, that is what you call the front end. What you don't see, like the database, is the back end. But we are saying that a full stack web developer should be able to what? Develop that of what? The front end and what? The back end. That is what we are saying. Alright, so let's continue. Okay, so we are now coming to look at the three technologies. And we want to begin with HTML. So basically what a website means is what we call HTML. So we are saying that what it means. So if you want to develop a website, what is the website going to do? What is the meaning of that website? So now let's look at it from this perspective. So we are saying that HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. The purpose is to give the structure of a website. HTML is the drywall. HTML is the basic structure and content of your website. You just develop your website like that, without anything. Nothing, no color, no animation. You don't try to, modify anything there. You just leave it like that. That is just the work of the HTML. Just like building a house, haven't done anything to it. That is just the concept of what? HTML. Alright. So let's talk about CSS. So CSS simply will take care of how the website looks. The appearance of the website is the work of CSS. So we say CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. The purpose is to give the look, design, and style of a website. It is the paint, curtains, and windows of a house. So I like this point. They said that dictates how the HTML elements of a website should actually appear on the front end of the page. So you could just write a paragraph and the paragraph is there, as whether the paragraph is at the center or whether the paragraph is having the font color to be red or black or this. It is the work of what? The HTML. And it is the work of the CSS. That's why I say it dictates how the elements of the HTML should appear on the what? The web page. Alright, so let's check. It says CSS is what gives your entire website a style. Those colors, the interesting font, and the background images. All these things happens to be the work of what? The CSS. It beautifies what? The web page. It modifies, it adds ingredients to the website. So that when someone logs into the website or when someone just see the website at a glance, it will be able to grab attention. It beautifies. Alright, so let's continue. Okay, so we want to look at JavaScript. JavaScript basically is talking about what a website does. What a website does. We say JavaScript is a computer language that lets you add advanced features. That is a keyword. It adds advanced features to your website, such as dynamic components and interactivity. Once the information from the HTML and the CSS in the source code has been passed and produced, JavaScript is running. JavaScript is the way the website behaves and the actions. So in the case of building a house, we can talk about electricals, plumbing, and the AC of a house. So if there's an AC in the house, that is what? JavaScript. If you check that relation, we give that to JavaScript. So let's go as we explore more on these three concepts, because we will actually spend time on these three concepts so that we'll be able to understand. All right. So let's look at another analogy of web development. So I want to pick it from this angle. So let's say you want to build a house. Right from digging the foundation to putting up the structure. That is HTML. But the moment you begin to get windows, the moment you begin to get doors, I'm not talking about when you fix the doors, I'm talking about when you get the shape for a window, or when you get the shape for a door, or this one you are getting into what? CSS. But the whole structure is what? HTML. But even if there is a window, CSS is being applied there. There is a door, CSS is being applied there. Okay, so now, if you begin to do plastering, that is CSS. When you are done with the plastering and you want to paint, that is CSS. When you are done with the painting and you want to tile, that is CSS. And when you are done with the tiling, and even when you do the roofing too is what? CSS. The roofing is CSS, right from using the wood to do the roofing before you put on the roof. All these ones happens to be CSS. But the moment you do the wiring, you do all the necessary connections, there's a switch, and once you tap the light from the street into the house, if you are able to turn on a switch off and on, and you are able to have light off and on, the concept of JavaScript also comes in. So we talk about the behavior, the action. We say JavaScript is the action. So you see, so CSS will modify the structure, and then JavaScript will come and add what? Action to what? The building. So what is the action? Fine. When you are able to turn on a fan, the fan is going. And when you're able to turn on the light, when you're able to turn on the switch, these ones are what? JavaScript. I hope you are getting the concept, and I expect that you sit down and try to analyze it on your own. You'll get it the more. But then let's see if we can continue. Alright, so let's look at this image. This image will also explain a lot to us. So if you look at the image right from the skeleton, that is what? HTML. And if you move to the next image, you say HTML plus CSS. So you see, the skeleton was just like that. The skeleton was just like that. And okay, so like I was saying, so you see that now we have HTML plus CSS. So initially you see the skeleton was just like that, and with the help of CSS, the person is now wearing a coat and a tie and cloth. And if you move to the third picture, we have HTML. We have HTML plus CSS plus JavaScript. So you see the way these two pictures now they are doing some action. So that is the work of what? JavaScript. So we are basically saying that the HTML happens to be a noun, the CSS is an adjective, and the JavaScript is a verb. We are bringing it from another angle so that it can enhance better understanding. So looking at the last picture, you see they were in a certain style. You know, the skeleton cannot give you that style. You understand? So that is how it goes. All right, let's keep going. We are going to explain the meaning of the noun, the adjective, and the verb in detail. But we are basically saying that the HTML is the walls and the structure, and the CSS, it gives the look and style, and JavaScript actually gives the action, as you can see the people in the images. All right. All right, so this is another analogy. If you look at it well, the skeleton here still stands to be an HTML structure. The CSS here, as you can see, the man a bit stylish. And if you look at the third picture, you see they are putting up some actions. And I think that you should agree with me with this relations, so that we can understand the concept. But then you can also sit down and analyze the whole concept so that you will be good to go. Initially, the skeleton was just like that. And the skeleton in the second picture is now in some dresses, smiling and that. And when you look at the JavaScript of it, they are now putting some actions as if they want to fly. All right, so let's continue to explore on the concept. All right, so now initially we related HTML to be a noun. And when you look at the whole definition, right from the elementary stage of our education, we define a noun to be a word that can be used to name a person, a place, animals, or things. And here we are talking about the HTML structure that gives the website. So that is just the noun. So in the case of building the house, the whole structure is the HTML. So the whole website is the HTML element that makes the website. And so we say the whole website is now the noun. Without CSS and JavaScript is the noun. Okay. So let's go to the adjective. So looking at the definition of adjectives, we are saying an adjective, what? It modifies or it adds ingredients or it describes a noun. We are talking about the CSS modifying the HTML elements. So when you develop a website without the CSS, you may not even have the appetite, the interest to go through the website. But with the help of CSS, it modifies it, it describes it, it beautifies it. It gives more insight, ingredient, makes it more attractive for you to what? To be attracted to watch. And so if you are just surfing through the website and then, at a glance, because the CSS elements has been able to make the website very attractive, you look at it at a glance and you are attracted, so it compels you to watch it. So that is why we are saying it modifies or it describes a noun. All right, so let's continue. And the verb here, we are also saying that a word that indicates an event, actions, or a state. You see? So here we are saying that JavaScript makes the HTML and the CSS more interactive. It is possible. It makes it possible to click on a form to operate, click to pop up. All these things are actions. In the case of being in your house, once you turn on a switch, the light is on. When you turn it off, it goes off. These ones are actions, and these ones are what? JavaScript in what? In relation to when you are in your house. All the plumbing works. Once you are able to turn on a tap, you turn it on, you go and then you flash your WC, all these things. You turn on your fan, it's working. You turn it on, your AC, all these things that when you click on a button or when you turn on and it is working, all these things we call them what? JavaScript. So You see, I want us to understand the whole concept. That is why we need to stretch ourselves this much just to give you the explanations. So, let's see. So, I would admonish that you sit down and then go through the whole concept well and then see if you can also analyze and bring about a concept. Alright, so I've always admonished that you subscribe to the channel, you like, share, and leave your comments so that anytime we bring about a new video, you will quickly get the notification so that